I'm an engineer, I said that a lot.
What would you say expertise is?
Yeah, it's a good question. I grapple with it. We were kind of like preambling on this in the kitchen, weren't we? I think my immediate response to you earlier, which is a bit offhanded maybe, was I mean, no one's an expert. I think that's kind of how I think about expertise. You start learning something new, you think you're good at it, you buy all the equipment. We were talking about this earlier. You buy all the equipment and you think, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I've got all the right stuff. I've got all the gear, and you probably don't really know how to use it properly. And you quite quickly realize that, like, you'll compare your work to someone else's. You'll ask a friend or an expert that you look up to for feedback, or read a few more books on it, and you'll quickly realize that you absolutely know nothing. And that's when you really start your journey on being an expert, and sort of you start to go and investigate those things, and you kind of broaden your horizons a little bit in that field. And I think this applies from everything. Like we compared it to photography earlier, as well as software engineering, or even like drawing. Like, I think it's just the kind of human condition of becoming an expert in something. One of the company values that we have is stay humble, stay hungry, and it is that kind of acknowledgement that you probably never are going to know everything about your field, and there are always new ideas that come along as we understand more about a subject, just as human beings. It's a story I've heard. I haven't checked the sources on it or anything like that, but the creator of the programming language Python, which is one of the main ones I've used throughout my career, typically when you would go to software engineering conferences, they'd ask you to score yourself, and even the creator of Python wouldn't rate themselves 10 out of 10 because it's a community project. They didn't write it all, they haven't reviewed it all, and I think that to me sort of shows that humility and that self-awareness that even things you create evolve underneath you as other people work on it, or as you as a person change, and you start to realize that, hang on, I've forgotten something that I wrote 2 years ago, and someone points out to you and you're like, oops, that's not very good. Which happens quite a lot as a software engineer. You always started out in FanDuel as, like I said, as a software engineer. We hit scale quite quickly. Hadn't really worked at a company with as much scale as we had here, and I think that was true of almost all the engineers at the time. I think there were definitely a couple who led the way through that stuff. I think being an expert is making those mistakes. Mm-hmm. So when we put systems live and they failed or they struggled under loads, there's those kind of moments where you have, because of the way our traffic works, right? You start, NFLs were always our biggest user load on the systems, and our biggest trial of like new features. I think that's that Sunday when you're sitting there and the first users start to hit your system, and you've done as much as you can, you've prepared as much as possible, but nothing replicates real life, and you start to realize your thing is about to fail, or you need to intervene and do something. I think that's the moment when really you're kind of tested as a group of people. And I think being an expert, again, is about working with others around you and taking that feedback, regardless of anyone's experience level. Like I said, it's not like a linear path to being an expert in a subject, right? A subject is comprised of many horizontal aspects, and you might be good at like the main ones, or 3 out of 5 of the main areas in the subject, and there'll be someone who might be new into the field, but that's the kind of area that they're actually more of an expert in than you. So being able to get together in that group of people, work really collaboratively. I'm stealing some subjects from later. Work really collaboratively as a team of experts, and understanding how you relay ideas and context to each other, mm-hmm. and kind of work on problems together to solve them.